Welcome to the first Cafe Muse Online. I am Karen Alanier, a longtime leader of the WordWorks and creator of the Cafe Muse. I am
Shoot. That must be right. Hello?
Susan, I'm here. I think everyone needs to maybe turn down their mics.
You mean sound?
Yeah, no, their actual mic. Mute their own mics, not yours, but everyone else in the room. I think that's causing feedback.
Okay. Karen must be hearing us, I would think. I don't know. Henry must be hearing us. I'm getting.
Welcome to the first Cafe Muse Online. I am Karen Alanier, a longtime leader of the WordWorks and creator of the Cafe Muse Literary Salon, which has been running monthly since 1999. We hope you have enjoyed the recorded classical guitar music of our beloved Michael Davis. The Cafe Muse team and I have been working hard to create a good experience for you in these troubled times. Both of our readers tonight, Lisa HASE-JACKSON and Annie Kim, are published by the WordWorks. Feel free to provide us with your comments in our chat room about this program. Without further ado, I call Cafe Muse co-host Susan Oakey to our Crowdcast stage.
Hello, I'm Susan Oakey, a Cafe Muse co-host, introducing our first poet, Lisa HASE-JACKSON. I'll be reading the words of my fellow co-host, Leah Johnson, who prepared this introduction. Lisa HASE-JACKSON is the author of the WordWorks 2019 publication, Flint Fire, her debut collection, and the winner of the 2018 Hilary Tham Capital Collection Series, judged by Jericho Brown. She's a graduate of the Converse College Low-Residency MFA program and the Kansas State University Masters in English program. Her poems have appeared in such literary magazines as Midwest Quarterly, Pilgrimage, and the South Carolina, among others. She is the managing editor for South 85 Journal and visiting assistant professor at the College of Charleston, where she teaches English and poetry. HASE-JACKSON'S Flint Fire invites you in. I entered by the back door, settled down, and read the entire collection, riveted by its lucid renderings of a life lived fully awake to the commonplace, the terrifying, and the hopeful. A 9-year-old taking the wheel of her drunken father's truck, a grandfather pulling from the ground a radish crisp as authority, warm with the sun, an interracial couple seated in an empty room in a crowded restaurant, life as promising as sapling roots reaching down through fertile soil. I left by the back door, no longer a stranger to HASE-JACKSON'S world, and richer for the visit. Please welcome poet Lisa HASE-JACKSON.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, Susan, and thanks to Karen and Susan and Henry and everyone at the WordWorks for putting this together so quickly and so efficiently. It was not an easy task, but you're pulling it off lovely and wonderfully. With all of the social isolation that's going on, I thought that I would begin with a poem about friends. Ode to Friends' Homes. There are not enough poems dedicated to friends who open their homes to friends. Too few odes praising clean sheets upon beds of teens and toddlers who have straightened their rooms and slept on the couch for the sake of a guest they barely know, nor adequate numbers of nuanced sonnets declaring infatuated love for donuts arranged on china plates, resting on kitchen counters, or fresh smoothies blended from farmers' market produce, nor sufficient villanelles esteeming pets who accept without condition any two-legged creature dubbed family for the night or the week. Where are the lyrics celebrating clean bathrooms, the abecedarians lauding fresh towels, the haikus extolling dry foyers in which to place wet shoes? I wanted to show a cover of Flint Fire. It looks backwards to me. I don't know if it is to you. It is dedicated to my mother, who passed away in July of 2018. We were very close. I was an only child. My mother was divorced when I was young, so we became very close. And sometimes it was not always clear who was the parent and who was the child in our relationship, which was fine by me. Mile markers. My mother stands by the side of the road with her thumb out while I sit on a green suitcase beneath a shade tree a few feet from the shoulder. Inside my case, a marionette I named Pepe, unwashed jeans, and a worn copy of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Missing are my security blanket and a pair of tennis shoes left by mistake on the floorboard of our last ride. We are on a highway somewhere between Albuquerque and DC, maybe the Midwest, maybe even Kansas. I don't know, because the significance of highway numbers is lost on me. I pout because of the blanket that's lost to the underwater world between sleep and wakefulness and the time between gears and asphalt. I pout because my paper moon dream is folded tight within a Samsonite suitcase where it cannot shine. I had an early start at life. I met my first husband when I was about 16, and we moved in together not long after that. And we were a couple of scrappy kids, I'll say. Those kids ride around on gravel roads, drink Mountain Dew in glass bottles, split bags of peanuts, and spotlight deer from their car window, blue Ford Pinto, black stripe down the back. Those kids shoot a doe one night, twilight, a field by the river road. They cross ditch and barbed wire, drag her kicking into the hatchback of that blue Ford Pinto, black stripe down the back, blood draining onto dusty quilts, tattered and spread across folded down back seats. Those kids drive through growing darkness and river bottoms, fragrant with dew, to a friend's house in town, an old man who never worries about rules or the law, a man quick to hang a fresh kill by hind legs in a cool basement in East Topeka, out of sight from anyone who might guess what those kids did, to stay 3 steps ahead of hunger that winter, to get one day closer to spring. As with most relationships that start when you're young and in desperate circumstances, my first marriage did not last forever. And I did eventually leave my husband, my first husband. I missed the lifestyle quite a lot. It was interesting to live on a farm. I'd lived on that farm longer than anywhere else I've lived in my life. 40 acres south of Mayetta. I left behind dipping, scolding chatter of brown and blue barn swallows nesting beneath front porch eaves, hidden from hawks and feral cats, finger puppet feather-tufted bird heads overcrowding mud-cupped nests in July, and mornings collecting warm brown eggs from beneath cackling hens packing at my dishwater hands. I left the chicken coop too, and the black snake who sleeps in the corner culling pack rats in exchange for an egg or 2 each year. Left behind early spring storms and sows giving birth to runt piglets on hard-packed ground, surviving only for predictions and the warmth of the pot-bellied stove, inferno hot with hedge. The bottle-fed calf, mewing from beds of fresh straw, never guessing his fate, and fishing with the kids to escape the boredom that oppresses August's afternoons. Now, most of Flint Fire takes place in Kansas, the northeast corner specifically. A few poems take place in Kansas City and Missouri. But I have found myself in Charleston, South Carolina, which is a very different environment and landscape, different culture altogether. Lots of drinking in the South. So the next poem is called Gin Joint, which is the name of an establishment in downtown Charleston. Gin Joint. After drinks and late conversations in predictable cadences, into that hour that slips between days, we find King Street new with emptiness, the Atlantic breeze embellishing temperatures like a shawl. We are undifferentiated, a group transpiring from shadows, minds content to make no problems, just as the cobbles that lie quietly shift time and hold no grudges against us. None of this has happened before, though the salty echo of our voices spins an image of that city in the high desert, a former home for which tonight can be no anodyne. But as one of my mentors has noted, I am a Midwestern girl through and through and in my heart. And so I will finish tonight's reading with Prairie Rumors. When Aurora Borealis crept into the northern plains of Kansas like a tire-shattering Arctic front, sheriffs of sparsely populated counties received reports of fire and aliens, and second coming predictions echoed within the walls of steepled buildings. The clash of atoms disturbed a farmer's wife who could not find sleep beneath magnetized particles, so rose from her bed to leave the house where her children slept. Passing the chicken coop, the pigsty, the barn of cattle and hay, she found herself upon the prairie, beneath the pulsing arc of reds and greens that synchronized her heart's rhythm and moved her to remove her clothes, lie against the cold, damp earth, and press her ear close against the soil and listen as one does for the breath of a sleeping child. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Lisa HASE-JACKSON. And I'll now introduce our second reader, Annie Kim. In Eros Unbroken, Annie Kim's new collection of poems, there's a line enclosed in parentheses that I think is key. You can only tell this story through indirection. To accomplish that, Kim's book is built like a mosaic with multiple panels, or like a sonata whose melodies differ in their arc, rhythm, and tempo, yet respond to one another. She juggles separate themes and story fragments to construct a mesmerizing labyrinth. A violinist herself, Kim draws extended metaphors from music, its composition and design, and the physics of instruments designed to play it, including the violin, the piano, even the deliberately mutilated body of Carlo Broschi, who was castrated as a boy to become the famous countertenor Farinelli, whose voice would never change as he grew up. In allowing the reader to notice how these poems speak to one another, Kim creates the equivalent of counterpoint in music, which is defined as the art of building by pursuing more than one melodic line, each independent but connected to the other. It's a gratifying voyage of discovery. Kim is a lawyer as well as a musician. Eros Unbroken, published this year by the WordWorks, won the 2019 Poetry Prize, Washington Poetry Prize. Her first collection, Into the Cyclorama, won the Michael Waters Poetry Prize and was published by Southern Indiana Review Press in 2016. Her poems have appeared or are forthcoming in journals such as Beloit Poetry Journal, the Cincinnati Review, Four-Way Review, the Kenyon Review, Narrative, Plume, and Pleiades. A graduate of Warren Wilson College's MFA program for writers, she works at the University of Virginia School of Law as Assistant Dean for Public Service. She teaches poetry and legal writing and writes micro book reviews for DMQ Review. I'm delighted to welcome poet Annie Kim.
All right, here we go. Apologies. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Susan. And thank you to everyone at Cafe Muse. This has been an amazing reading that you've pulled off. I know the technology is really difficult for all of us. And thank you to all my friends and fellow writers who are out here, as well as those I don't know. This is a really special night for all of us. So while we get situated, let me tell you that I was so excited tonight to read that I cut myself while cutting vegetables. So I have this interesting finger sock that my very handy husband had on hand. Hopefully I will keep it raised if it starts bleeding. So it's all coming from here, guys. But thank you so much. So I'm going to read tonight from my new book, Eros Unbroken, which I'm so thrilled about. The WordWorks has done such a beautiful job of this. And this is a complicated book, as Susan mentioned. I am going to read one longer poem from the book that has some of those strands, that counterpoint that she talked about. And so I hope you'll bear with me as I try to move through that. I should say that there are many poems in this book that start with eros. So the word eros is in love, not just in sexual love, but broader sense of love. So the first poem I'm going to read tonight is called Eros the Binder and Loosener, and it's the very first poem of the book. Eros the Binder and Loosener. There was a black reflecting pool in the center of the garden. Guarding it, a pair of lion statues at the top of the steps looking down. Pink azaleas gone frothy by the pool's edge, then tiers of boxwood, pines. I know because of the photographs, my attempts to take. Something in the water let it be both black and reflective. Staring into it, almost touching the glossy surface, all I could see was water. No sign of my hovering face, only depthless, witchy satin. But everything far away, all of it was held there, no loss of color or shape. And when the wind shook the tall pines, their image in the water shook. Speaking to my ghost tonight, her face half in shadow, her voice slipping unevenly down the rocks. How easy I feel it is to fall in. How dark and sweet this water is, all the light it contains. The next poem is very special to me. It's a very personal poem, and it takes up questions about violence, family violence that I've experienced, as well as music. And I'll just show you what it looks like on the page so that you'll get a sense of how the poem works and moves back and forth. It has many sections, and I'm going to pause just a little bit between them to help you follow along, but I hope you'll be able to pick up how the voice moves in and out. Violins, violence. Vitula, viol, violino. Violare, violentus, violentia. Origin and history of violence, reads the header. You visited this page 3 times. Last night, you dreamed again about your father. You had him by the wrists, above your head, the way you'd catch a snake, one hand beneath its flickering tongue, fighting hard to not get bitten. You've worked so hard to not get bitten. Other hand wrestling with a slick, elusive tail. Violins, violence. No shared root for these words, but isn't it interesting that the Japanese counter word, cho, for violins includes scissors, guns, and rickshaw, as in, give me a cho of violins and some guns. Vitulare, to sing or rejoice, is related to Vitula, the deity of victory, thanksgiving, and Roman festivals, giving us the root for fiddle and violin. Vitula, also calf, because calf guts were used for violin strings. Morning, the dream has left the bed. Your chest feels like batting in a pillow, no upholstery, no fringe. Behind the wall, water splashes the bathtub tiles, your husband's whistling, Mahler something, each space between his cheerfully constructed notes, absolute. Yes, your father hurt you, loved, in fact, to hurt you, so all the hurt could flee the burning forests in his body, slither out to enter yours, renewed. He could see for a moment then, shapes he couldn't bear to watch alone. A man bending down in the dark to blow out a crown of birthday candles. Then everything would be sweet again. You could eat the cake because sweet is what your body craved. Violare looks a lot like vitulare, but it means to violate, to wrong. In my old life, I argued to a judge that the definition of wrongful act includes violations of pre-existing duty, that loss includes claims for liquidated damages. I lost. Not all bad acts are wrongful acts, he said. Not all loss is bargained for. Standing in the shower, you feel a lump on your scalp behind the ear. How did it get there? Can't remember, but that feeling, something swollen, buried beneath the dripping hair, is familiar. Almost comforting, like a picture that you've seen 1,000 times on a billboard, appearing on your phone screen. Crisp, so crisp. You remember little things, his white Hanes undershirt, fingers small and meticulous, working the potato peeler. Swivel those long jack-o'-lantern orange strips. He scraped from the carrot, falling, julienne, on the open paper. How they soaked the newsprint. Shit like offspring. That was his favorite curse for you in Korean. It had a satisfying ring. Dactyl plus a trochee, 5 hard consonants. Some days it was dog offspring. When he was feeling, say, less creative, just bad offspring. Done trying whatever names he had for you, he'd pick up the bleeding newspaper, dump the peels into the trash can, tap tap against the molded plastic, flick the last few strips with his pearly nail tip. Quote from Marcus Aurelius, Book 2 of the Meditations. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I will deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. Tell yourself what cures is the power of discrimination. That was child you, not now you, writing this. If you know who you were wronged, who was wrong, well, shouldn't you be okay? Sound from a violin, what we call music, is the product of a chain of fine aggressions and reactions. Draw the bow, slung with stiff white horsehair, only horses that have lived in cold weather countries, across 4 strings, sheep gut core wound in silver or aluminum. Start a tremor in the bridge carved from unbleached maple beneath the strings, sending ripples to the sound post, spruce, lodged upright in the belly. You feel fat and sad. Is this because of him, what he did to you? To you? Is that the right preposition? You want to smash something. Thumbnail digging into nail bed, your hands slack on the wheel. What have you smashed ever? Standing over you, he, the hand, or is it fist, slamming the side of, why are you recalling this, the head, yours? Face turned, there is no clarity. I'm done with you, no single instant, only real, only the girl, going down, getting up, going down. Endless loop, bad audio. A few seconds. Make the sound post ring. That's what it's built for. Flood on flood of quick vibrations. Make it tremble. Make it echo every note you play. Transmit like a good little messenger, every wave to the silent forests of the body. Out again through 2 holes in the belly surface called F-holes. As in the italic letter F, since only holes release music from an instrument. As in forte, fine, fuck. You want to smash something. Instead, you sing along to the radio. On the long way down, oh, 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 feel the seizing in your gut. How it tightens, then let's go. Stop for the school bus, flashing red. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Marcus Aurelius continues, but I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not of the same blood or birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. And so none of them can hurt me. Oh, beauty of her bathroom, patience of the door that shields her from the brittle house of him. O mirror in the cabinet, never filled with medicine, bulbs in the fixture, always electric. O head, a ball of Play-Doh, abandoned on the blacktop in the pouring summer rain, water in the holes dug by a pencil. O trace, for which she searches, half in horror, half in vain, of her father's latest handprint, proof of what the fire did, what beams of the cathedral look like, burned. Camera, are you getting this? Take the roof off this house, spot the hallway to the narrow master bathroom where he sits, show us the newspaper, pages falling open on his knees with a sound like a fan clicking shut or clicking open, sooty wings of an angel, neither good nor evil, just a messenger. Oh, beauty of believing in the sweet independence of things, coldness of the washcloth lifted to her head, water in the sink, pacing of her mother in the kitchen. Oh, sanity and thinking, even she, little weakling thing, could at this moment, if she chose to, simply hate him. I won my appeal. When I read reversed, I jumped up in my empty office yelling, "Suck it, Judge." I rejoiced and sang. I never felt so victorious. No one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. Oh, Marcus. Thank you for listening to that long poem. I know I took us to some dark places there, so I'm going to bring us back. I'm just going to read the first part of a longer poem, and I feel it's timely because it's spring. And this poem is called The Hydrangeas. All winter they curled like parchment, a Band-Aid torn off in the shower, stiffening into final shape. Because you believe that survival means no one can teach you how to live, strength appears gradually from suffering. You hurried past them. Snow flung its iron cape over their heads. Then one day, nearly April, all the little crocus pinged. Death under such circumstances being out of place, you fetched your clippers, crouched beside the bush. What dropped into your bag was weightless. Because to live, we must forget, at least pretend. They're back today, as if nothing bad had ever happened. Blue as in the Quattrocento painting of a dying nymph, where the mountain glides into a clear-bodied bay. This early in the summer, there is nothing you can do. They will become more and more themselves, intensify in color, satisfy their simple wants through sun and rain. Unlike us, their growing doesn't cast a shadow. Unlike poetry, they feel nothing below their surface. No one tells them, dimpling in the sun, remember this. The final poem I'll read for you is called Eros the Contagion, but it's the good kind of contagion, not the deadly kind. And it used to be the title of the book. So it's a special poem to me. Eros the Contagion. Okay. Soft as a Claude painting, the yellow sky tonight. Trees in the parking lot, still thick, though the air, yes, has an edge. The honey was solid in the jar when I opened it this morning, found a single ant frozen in the dunes, stunned by sweetness. Can you really die of sweetness? Hard to say yes, though I want to, looking up at these clouds that make my heart jump. Oh, joy in seeing, though I can't touch. Like the girl repeating, persimmon, as the waitress in the diner tells her about a tree at the top of the hill she used to climb. How beautiful that vivid orange fruit was all at once. Can't touch them, but I see them in her eyes as she remembers persimmons. Maybe that was my mistake, thinking every love was different, a fruit inside its own clear mason jar. My love, her love, his, all separate as the trees they fell from. Maybe love is more contagion, bubbles in a bathtub slowly swelling, all the little circles drifting, gliding gently into each other until they burst, until nothing's left but foam, the chime of rushing water. Thank you all so much. It's been great being here.
Okay. I'm wearing my headset because I'm hearing echo. Thank you, Annie Kim and Lisa HASE-JACKSON. This is where those of you attending this event can provide comments in lieu of clapping. And I see a lot of you are making comments. If you love what you heard, please consider buying books by Lisa and Annie. Just click the button at the bottom of your screen that reads Buy Author Books. Please mark your calendar now for May 4th, when Brad Richard, who is in the house, and Lisa Lewis will read for Cafe Muse online. Thank you to our Cafe Muse co-hosts for the many hours and brain power put into this first online program. Thank you, Susan Oki, Leah Johnson, Renee Garrity, and especially Henry Crawford, who is our technical guru. And a special shout out to our publicist, Bergie Zenhuisen. Good night and be well.